It's not your beauty. It's not the way you talk or the way you look at them when they finally open up. What makes an avoidant obsessed with you isn't something you can show. It's something they feel when they least expect it. It's the quiet power of safety, the calm that doesn't chase, the silence that doesn't punish. You see, avoidants live in a world built on emotional distance. Every closeness feels like a trap, every tenderness like a test they're destined to fail. They've learned to survive by staying in control, by running first, before someone else can hurt them. But there's one thing they never plan for: the person who doesn't try to change them, or convince them, or demand that they stay, the person who simply is. At first they mistake your calm for indifference. They think you'll give up like everyone else. But something feels different. You're not pleading, you're not proving, you're just present. And that's when it begins, the confusion, the pull, the slow unraveling of their defenses. Because for the first time, love doesn't feel like pressure. It doesn't feel like a storm waiting to swallow them whole. It feels like standing near a quiet ocean, deep, steady, unmoving. They can't explain why your silence feels so loud, or why your steadiness echoes in their mind long after you're gone. They start to remember your tone, your patience, your peace. The very calm they once avoided becomes the space they crave, because you're not chasing them, and that's what breaks the pattern. You stop feeding their fear, you stop proving your worth, and in that stillness, something shifts. That's when the obsession begins. Quietly, subtly, without words, they start to notice how no one else makes them feel that sense of ease, that strange safety they didn't know they needed. They replay moments in their head, trying to make sense of why they can't detach this time. You didn't fight for their attention. You became the mirror of everything they secretly longed for: peace, acceptance, calm connection. And that's what truly disarms an avoidant. Not intensity, not effort, but your ability to remain grounded, even when they pull away. That's the moment they realize your peace feels like home, and they can't unfeel it. They don't mean to run. Most avoidants never wake up and decide to disappear. It happens quietly, almost automatically, like breathing. The moment they feel too seen, too needed, too emotionally close, something deep inside them tightens. It's not rejection, it's survival, because once closeness wasn't safety, it was danger. Love was supposed to feel warm, but it came mixed with unpredictability, judgment, or silence. So they built distance the way others build trust. They learned that being independent was the only way to stay safe. And that lesson runs so deep that even when they meet someone who feels different, calm, gentle, patient, their body still reacts like they're under threat. That's the paradox of the avoidant heart. They crave what they fear. They want to be held, but only from far enough away that it doesn't hurt. They dream of connection but can't stop scanning for signs of loss. Every small moment of closeness feels like a risk they can't calculate. So when someone offers real emotional safety, their instinct isn't to relax, it's to retreat. Because deep down, safety is unfamiliar. It feels almost suspicious. Why does this person not demand anything from me? Why do they feel so calm when I pull away? The mind can't understand it, but the heart remembers. That's where confusion begins. You, the one who stays grounded, trigger something powerful in them. You don't mirror chaos, you mirror peace. And peace, to someone who's always lived in emotional tension, feels like a language they forgot how to speak. They start to question themselves. Not because you did anything, but because you didn't. You didn't chase. You didn't panic. You didn't beg for their love to stay alive. And suddenly the mirror turns inward. They see themselves, the walls, the fear, the pattern. They remember how much they longed for connection as a child, and how they taught themselves not to need it. That realization hurts. It's disorienting, but it's also the first crack in the armor. Because beneath the distance, avoidants are not cold. They're scared. Scared that love means surrender, and surrender means loss. But when they meet someone who shows that love can exist without pressure, something begins to heal. Slowly, quietly, deeply. There comes a moment when your energy changes, not out of anger, not out of defeat, but from a quiet understanding. You stop explaining yourself. You stop overreaching for someone who keeps slipping away. You let silence take the place of all those words that never landed. And that's where everything shifts. Avoidants are used to being pursued. The chase reassures them. It proves they're wanted, even as they keep their distance. But when you stop chasing, something unfamiliar settles in. Your calm becomes louder than their chaos. Your silence begins to echo in the space where your efforts used to fill the air. At first they might feel relief. The tension drops and they believe they've regained control. But control is empty when the connection fades. Days pass, and they catch themselves wondering what you're doing, who you're with, why the world feels quieter. They open old messages, hover over your name, then close the screen. They tell themselves they don't care, but the stillness starts to sting. Because in your absence they feel something they never expected, peace mixed with loss. You didn't punish them, you didn't chase, you simply withdrew your energy. And that's what disorients them the most. You became the one person who didn't play the game. Their defenses, once their greatest shield, now feel like walls closing in. Your silence holds a mirror to their fear. They start to realize that what they ran from wasn't you, it was the safety they never learned to trust. And now, without your chasing, that safety feels like something they want back. Not because you demanded it, but because for the first time they missed the peace you carried. It's not the chase that captures an avoidant's heart. It's the calm that follows when the chase ends. What truly hooks them isn't your intensity or persistence, it's your stability. The way you move through their silence without losing your center. The way you care without trying to control. Avoidants are drawn to what feels safe even when they don't know how to receive it. They've spent so long mistaking calm for boredom, mistaking consistency for threat, that when someone comes along who carries peace like it's their nature, it shakes something loose inside them. Your steadiness speaks directly to their nervous system, telling it, you can rest now, you don't have to run. They begin to remember how it feels to breathe without fear, to be close without losing themselves, to love without needing to protect every inch of their heart. It's quiet, not fireworks, not chaos, but something deeper, something that makes them feel safe enough to want closeness instead of avoiding it. That's what hooks them. Not the thrill of being desired, but the relief of being understood. You don't chase, you don't force, and yet your presence lingers. You become a calm memory in their storm, the one they keep returning to in their mind when everything else feels too loud. Because your peace isn't performance, it's truth. It doesn't demand, it doesn't waver, and for someone who's only ever known love as a battlefield, that kind of stillness becomes addictive. They realize they can't forget the feeling you brought, the calm heartbeat, the steady energy, the quiet safety. That's what truly hooks an avoidant. Not your effort, not your words, but the rare comfort of love that finally feels safe. It begins quietly. No dramatic realization, no sudden regret, just a subtle ache that grows louder in the stillness. They start to think about you, not because you're gone, but because your absence carries a peace they can't find anywhere else. You didn't beg to be remembered, you became unforgettable by staying true to yourself. Avoidants aren't haunted by chaos, they're haunted by calm. The calm you brought into their life now follows them like a memory that won't fade. They replay your words, your tone, the moments where you didn't react, where you simply were. In every new connection they search for that same stillness but can't recreate it. Because your energy wasn't built on need, it was built on knowing your worth. The more they try to move on, the more they realize it isn't you they're missing, it's the feeling you carried. The safety they once ran from now feels like oxygen. The peace they once dismissed as too quiet now feels like home. That's the paradox of the avoidant heart. They crave exactly what they once feared. Late at night they scroll through your old messages, reading words they never fully understood before. They don't reach out, not yet, but they linger in your digital shadow, trying to feel the presence they once resisted. The silence between you becomes magnetic, almost sacred, and in that quiet obsession something shifts. They start to realize that what they thought was freedom, the running, the distance, the walls, was just another kind of prison, because real freedom was always found in the peace you carried effortlessly. Now they're not obsessed with attention, they're obsessed with the calm that only ever existed with you. Here's the truth most people never realize. The power was never in trying harder. It was never in proving your worth, fixing them, or waiting for them to change. The real power was always in your peace. When you stopped chasing, something incredible happened. You shifted from seeking love to embodying it. You stopped trying to earn what was already within you. That calmness, that grounded energy, that's what makes an avoidant notice you long after you've gone quiet. Because while they're drawn to mystery, what truly obsesses them is stability. And stability isn't stillness, it's strength. You became what they never learned to trust. Someone who doesn't need chaos to feel connected. Someone who loves gently, without trying to control. That kind of energy is rare. It unsettles people who've only ever known love as tension, and it awakens something deep in those who've spent years running from it. An avoidant doesn't fall for the loud, for the dramatic, for the constant reassurance. They fall for the one who feels like peace after a lifetime of storms. The one whose silence says, I know my value, even when you can't see it. And the moment they feel that, they can't unfeel it. Because peace leaves an imprint stronger than passion. It lingers, it echoes, it pulls them back to the energy they once took for granted. And even if they never say it out loud, they'll remember the softness in your tone, the steadiness in your presence, the freedom you carried simply by being yourself. That's your real power. Not manipulation, not distance as a game, but distance as alignment, silence as strength. You didn't lose them, you found yourself. And that changes everything, because when you're rooted in peace, you stop attracting chaos. You start drawing in only what vibrates at your frequency. And for the avoidant, that's the most magnetic thing of all. The calm they once feared becomes the calm they crave. Your peace is magnetic. It doesn't chase, it doesn't beg, it simply is. And that's what makes them obsessed.